Group Director of Sales, and I've actually got Choumil from ATG Title with me today. We're going to discuss the TILA RESPA integrated disclosures that are coming down the line and what you need to be prepared for. So Mo, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us all today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit. What are the changes that are coming down the pipe? The old deadline was August 1st. Now it's changed a little bit?
Yes, the new deadline is October 3rd. There was some little glitch. The CFPB, which is Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, was supposed to give Congress like a kind of a more of a heads up what's coming up, and they did not do that within a certain time frame. So they kind of they need to actually do to kind of push it 2 more weeks. But it was very nice to push it a couple more months. So it was very nice of the CFPB to kind of push it a little further.
So if I understand correctly, the
technicality, basically.
Yeah. Okay. So the new disclosures are basically to keep everybody on a tight timeline, but the responsible parties weren't on the same timeline. We had to push a little bit.
Exactly. Well, lenders and us and everybody in the real estate industry is very happy with the delay. It's just a delay. It's coming. So
coming soon, as we like to say in the real estate industry, right?
October 3rd. It's set.
Okay. What are the changes? What's happening? What do we need to be aware of?
The main change is CFPB wants to create more clarity for the consumer. And what they're doing, they're getting rid of the old settlement statement, which was the HUD-1 settlement statement, and the TRID-TILA lending. They're combining both of them in one document called the closing disclosure. Okay. It's very simple, very clear. The whole point was to create clarity for the consumer, and the most important part is now the lender has to give that document to the consumer 3 business days prior to closing. Currently, the consumer must have a document 48 hours before closing. That never happens. Now CFPB is making it really going to be like it's a dead serious about it, and there are very, very serious consequences when the lenders delays that 3-day timeline. Serious consequences.
So, like, describe some of those serious consequences, because
if a lender willingly violates the new law, basically it's like $1 million fine per day. That's as extreme as it goes.
Per day.
Per transaction. So it's not overall. So there's some serious fines. I think the smallest one is $5,000 per day. And then there's another one, $25,000 per day. The heavy one is $1 million per day. So
wow.
So some serious fines.
Yeah, that's some serious money, especially per day. Walk us through why the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is making these changes.
Well, I'll take us back a little bit. If everybody remembers 2008, the big real estate crash. Yes. So before, the reason that crash was caused because the lending was so easy that anybody could get a loan. Basically, the no loan docs, you name it, Caesar loan, the coffee. There's so many acronyms that I forgot even the names. This was so long ago.
Read on a mirror, and if you've got fog, then you can get a loan.
That's exactly. So that caused a crash. When the crash happened, us as a taxpayers in Congress, we bailed the lenders. We paid about $1 trillion that we paid. So when we pay that kind of money, Congress has to kind of set a serious rule moving forward, but so it cannot happen again. I know it's as bad as we complain about our system, but it's a fair system at the end of the day. The pendulum shifts far right and far left, then always back and forth. Something to eventually meet in the middle at some point.
I like to think we try to keep it in the middle there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, ideally, but but anyway. So the Congressman Dodd and Frank created a bill. It's called the Financial Reform Bill. It's called Dodd-Frank Act. One of the main things that came out of it was last year, January 2014, was the QM, or qualified mortgage, basically put some serious parameters on any loan that's to be conventional loan that's to be sold to Fannie and Freddie has to be certain parameters. Lenders cannot charge more than 3% of the loan amount. And the second one is put a limit on the debt to income ratio. Consumer cannot have more than 43% of debt to income. So that was the first part of it. The second one came out of January 2014 was also the ability to repay. And the main thing is the lender has to do the due diligence to make sure the consumer qualifies the loan. If there's ever default down the road, that file can be audited, and the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, can audit that file, make sure the lenders cross all their T's, dot all their I's, and they did their due diligence and make sure that the consumer at that time was able to afford that loan. So it puts the burden on the lender. And the last piece of the puzzle, it's called a TRID, or the disclosure, the new called the RESPA TILA, this new disclosure coming up in October 3rd. And then the main thing combined, the HUD-1 and the final truth and lending in one document. It's called the closing disclosure. And the key part, as I told you earlier, the lender has to give it to the consumer 3 business days before closing. Or the new word they're going to be using is consummation. We're not even going to use the word closing anymore.
Love it. So Mo, as an agent or even a builder rep, one of the, an on-site rep for like a Ryan Homes, NV, Stanley Martin, what should we be aware of, and how can we help this process along to make sure that settlement does happen and we're not the cause of $1 million per day fines? Yeah,
but the main thing is really kind of push out the closings. Let's say give the lender as much cushion as possible. Let's say instead of doing 30-day contract, do 45 days, give an additional couple more weeks. I know as far as new construction, that may not be an issue because sometimes it takes 3 to 4 months to close on the transaction. But really kind of educate a consumer to cooperate with the lender when they ask for information in the beginning. Give them all the information, pay stubs, whatever they need. The sooner they get that information, the sooner they can process that file so it can be ready. The goal of most lenders, they want to be ready 2 weeks before closing. They want to have all their information so they can actually start processing the file and go to underwriting, go to clear to close, and have that closing disclosure 2 days before closing. Really educate the consumer to cooperate with the lenders. And the second thing is just see if you can push out a closing a couple of more weeks to give the lender enough time to process the file properly.
So what I'm hearing you say is basically be proactive and get everything up front.
Absolutely. And it's at the end of the day, it's education. There's the more the realtors, builders educate their consumers, their clients, the better. We all in this together now. It's not like lender, realtor, builder. We all title company. We work together. We work together to make the life of the lender as easy as possible. At the end of the day, the burden is on the lender, not us, not a builder as much. The clients are very hefty for the lender. They're the ones responsible for anything that may happen.
So all hands on deck to create a win-win for lender, builder, agent, the client, and consumer first and foremost, right?
Absolutely. Have the right partners in place that can make your life easier and make a lender's life easier, so we can all go to closing and everybody will be happy.
So in your opinion, though, how is this going to change the real estate industry moving forward? I'm assuming after October 3rd, provided that they don't delay anymore.
I don't think it's going to affect the builders as much. It's going to affect lenders and title companies, be more consolidations. I think the big lenders are going to struggle because there's more red tape. The bigger you are, the Wells Fargo, the Bank of America, the world, they're so big and all the eyes are on them. The regulators will go to them first. So they're the ones that will be very, very strict with their underwriting. So they're probably going to be more delays. Closing. I've talked to a lot of the big lenders, and their motto is they're gonna err on the side of compliance instead of side of a contract. They'll delay the contract and piss off the realtor or the builder, but they're not gonna mess with the CFPB or the regulation.
Okay. Before we close here today, Mo, if there are top 1 or 2 things that you would want someone to walk away from this knowing and focusing on to stay compliant and do the right thing by the client, what would that be?
Builder or realtor or consumer?
Both, all the above.
Probably just to educate. Proactivity is probably the key word. Be proactive and really have the right partners that can make your life easier. You want to make sure that the title company that you're working with, as it's act together, can make the life of the lender easier. If you have the right lenders that can deliver. At the end of the day, if they can't deliver, then we may lose transaction or cost more. The cost of carry for a builder is very, very, very expensive. So really having the right partners in place that can deliver is very important. You must have those conversations now before October. Make sure all your partners have the infrastructure, have the workflows in place to kind of to be ready for the new change.
Fair enough. And so what I'm hearing is really relationships.
Absolutely.
Being proactive, right? That's pretty much what I'm hearing you say.
Exactly. That's my message.
All right. Well, Mo, listen, really appreciate the time, the knowledge. Mo, you've been fantastic today. Look forward to working with you in the future. Thanks for giving us just shedding a little light on what's coming down the line.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Duane. And if you have any questions, if anybody has any question, feel free to email me at mo@atgtitle.com.
So the ATG that's right above your head there.
Yeah, that one right there.
Awesome. Hey, man, really appreciate the time. Have a good day, and thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.